Right now, as you're watching this, 97% of humanity is operating on the wrong frequency. They're broadcasting a signal into the quantum field that keeps them locked in limitation, scarcity, and struggle. But there's a small group, only about 3% of the population, who've discovered something that sounds impossible until you understand the quantum mechanics behind it. They've learned to tune their consciousness to a specific frequency that literally reorganizes the probability field around them. And once you understand this frequency law, once you truly comprehend how your energetic signature is collapsing possibilities into actualities every single moment, your entire reality begins to shift. Not gradually, not eventually, immediately. Here's what makes this so profound and why so few people know about it. We've been taught that frequency is something external, something that happens to us through sound or light. But quantum physics reveals something far more extraordinary. Your consciousness itself operates at a frequency. Every thought, every belief, every emotional state you hold generates a specific vibrational signature that broadcasts into what physicists call the quantum field, the infinite sea of possibility that underlies all physical reality. And here's where it gets mind-bending. The quantum field doesn't just receive your frequency, it responds to it. It reorganizes itself to match whatever signal you're consistently broadcasting. The reason 97% of people never access this understanding is because they've been conditioned to believe they're observers of a fixed reality. They think reality happens to them, that circumstances are external, that luck and chance determine outcomes. But quantum mechanics demolished this worldview decades ago. The double-slit experiment proved beyond question that observation itself affects reality at the quantum level. The observer effect isn't some abstract theory, it's demonstrable, repeatable science. Consciousness collapses the wave function. Your awareness literally determines which possibility becomes actual. But here's what almost everyone misses, what separates that 3% from everyone else. It's not just about observation. It's about the frequency of your observation. Two people can look at the same situation, but if they're operating at different frequencies, they're literally collapsing different realities from the same field of possibility. One person observes lack and their consciousness, vibrating at the frequency of scarcity, collapses more lack from the quantum field. Another person observes that same situation from a frequency of abundance, and reality reorganizes to match that signal. Same quantum field, same moment, completely different outcomes. This is the frequency law that only 3% understand. Your consciousness isn't passive, it's a broadcasting tower. Every moment, you're transmitting a frequency into the quantum field, and the field is responding by collapsing probabilities that match your signal. Most people broadcast unconsciously. They inherited their frequency from their environment, from their conditioning, from the collective consciousness around them. They're tuned to frequencies of limitation, doubt, fear, and struggle, because that's what they absorbed before they even knew they had a choice. And because the quantum field is neutral, because it simply responds to whatever frequency it receives, it keeps delivering experiences that match those lower vibrations. But when you understand this law, when you grasp that you can choose your frequency consciously, everything changes. Because you're not trying to manipulate external reality anymore. You're not pushing against circumstances or trying to force outcomes through effort and struggle. You're doing something far more powerful. You're changing the signal you're broadcasting and allowing the quantum field to reorganize in response. This is what that 3% has figured out. They've learned to become conscious frequency generators instead of unconscious frequency absorbers. Let me show you exactly how this works at the quantum level, because understanding the mechanism is what gives you the power to use it. In quantum physics, particles exist in superposition, meaning they exist in all possible states, simultaneously, until they're observed. An electron isn't in one location until consciousness observes it, at which point the wave function collapses and the particle manifests in a specific location. Your reality works the same way. Right now, every possible version of your life exists as probability waves in the quantum field. The version where you're abundant, where you're healthy, where you're living your purpose, it's already there as a possibility. The version where you're struggling, where you're stuck, where nothing seems to work, that's there too. Every possibility exists simultaneously in the field. What determines which possibility collapses into your physical experience? Your frequency. Your consciousness doesn't just observe the field, it observes it at a specific frequency. And the field responds by collapsing the probability wave that matches your frequency signature. If you're observing reality from a frequency of fear, you collapse fearful possibilities. If you're observing from a frequency of love, you collapse loving possibilities. If you're broadcasting abundance, the field delivers abundant experiences. Not because you're attracting things to you, because you're collapsing them from the field of infinite possibility. This is why positive thinking alone doesn't work for most people, and why the 97% get frustrated with manifestation techniques. They're trying to think different thoughts while maintaining the same underlying frequency. But thoughts are just the surface level. Your frequency is determined by your energetic state, your emotional resonance, your consciousness baseline. You can affirm abundance all day long, but if your energetic signature is broadcasting lack, the quantum field responds to the frequency, not the words. This is the missing piece that only 3% understand. You have to shift your frequency first, and then the thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions naturally align with that new vibration. Here's where this becomes absolutely transformative. The moment you grasp this, the moment you truly understand that you're a conscious frequency generator, and the quantum field is responding to your signal right now, in this very moment, something shifts. Your awareness itself changes your frequency, because you can't understand this truth and remain at the same vibration. The knowledge itself elevates your frequency because you've just recognized yourself as a creator rather than a victim, as a broadcaster rather than a receiver, as someone who collapses reality rather than someone reality happens to. This is the instant transformation that the 3% experience. It's not a gradual process. It's a perceptual revolution. One moment you believe you're subject to circumstances, and the next moment you realize you're the one generating the circumstances through your frequency. And that realization, that shift in identity, that change in how you see yourself in relation to reality, it immediately alters your frequency. You literally cannot hold the same vibration once you understand you're the one creating it. Now, watch what happens in your external reality when your frequency shifts. The quantum field doesn't delay. It doesn't process. It responds instantaneously because there's no time at the quantum level. Time is an illusion of the physical dimension. At the quantum level, everything is happening simultaneously, and the field is always in perfect resonance with your frequency. So the moment your frequency changes, the field is already reorganizing. Possibilities that were collapsed before are now dissolving back into potential, and new possibilities that match your new frequency are beginning to collapse into physical form. You might not see the physical manifestation instantly because dense matter takes time to reorganize in the three-dimensional world, but the quantum rearrangement is already happening. Opportunities begin appearing. People show up in your life who match your new frequency. Information finds you. Synchronicities multiply. Not because the universe is magical, but because you've changed your broadcast signal and the field is collapsing different probabilities. What the 97% call coincidence or luck, the 3% recognize as quantum response to frequency shift. Let me give you the practical application, the specific technique that allows you to consciously adjust your frequency. This isn't visualization. This isn't affirmation. This is direct frequency modulation, using your consciousness as the instrument. First, you have to understand that your frequency is determined by where your awareness is focused and what emotional resonance you're holding. Most people focus on what they don't want while holding the emotional frequency of lack. They observe problems while vibrating at the frequency of fear. This keeps them locked in a loop because the quantum field keeps delivering more of what matches that signal. The frequency shift happens through what I call quantum observation with elevated emotion. Here's how it works. You consciously choose to observe the reality you want to experience, not as something separate from you, not as something in the future, but as a possibility that already exists in the quantum field right now. Because it does. Every version of your life already exists as probability waves. You're simply choosing which wave to collapse through your observation. But here's the critical part that most people miss. You have to observe this desired reality while holding the emotional frequency of already living it. Not the emotion of wanting it, which vibrates at lack. Not the emotion of hoping for it, which vibrates at separation. The emotion of already having it. This is what collapses the probability wave. When you observe abundance while feeling abundant, when you observe health while feeling healthy, when you observe success while feeling successful, you're broadcasting the exact frequency that matches that reality in the quantum field. And the field has no choice but to respond by collapsing that probability into your experience. This is what the 3% do differently. They don't wait for circumstances to change to feel different. They generate the feeling first, which changes their frequency, which collapses different circumstances from the field. They've reversed the equation that the 97% follows. The majority believes circumstances create feelings. The 3% knows frequency creates circumstances. When you operate from this understanding, you stop being a victim of reality and become a conscious creator of it. Here's the practice. Several times a day, stop and become aware of your current frequency. Notice where your attention is focused. Notice what emotional state you're holding. This awareness itself is powerful because you can't change what you're not conscious of. Then, make a deliberate choice to shift your observation and your emotional frequency. Choose to observe the reality you want to experience as if it already exists in the quantum field, because it does. And generate the feeling, the emotional resonance of already living that reality. Hold that frequency for at least 60 seconds. During this time, you're literally broadcasting a new signal into the quantum field, and the field is responding by beginning to collapse different probabilities. The more consistently you do this, the more you train your consciousness to maintain this elevated frequency, the faster your physical reality reorganizes to match. This is why the 3% seem to live charmed lives, why opportunities flow to them, why they manifest with ease. They're not lucky. They're not special. They've simply learned to consciously control their frequency instead of letting it be determined by external circumstances. But here's the urgency you need to understand. Every moment you delay implementing this, you're still broadcasting your old frequency. And the quantum field is still responding to it. It's still collapsing the same old probabilities, the same old circumstances, the same old limitations. The field doesn't judge your frequency as good or bad. It simply matches it. So if you continue operating at the frequency of struggle, the field will continue delivering struggle. Not as punishment, but as perfect resonance with your signal. This is why those 3% create different realities than the 97%. Not because they're more deserving, not because they have secret advantages, but because they understand and apply the frequency law. They know they're broadcasting into the quantum field every moment, and they've taken conscious control of their signal. The 97% broadcast unconsciously, letting circumstances, other people's energy, and inherited conditioning determine their frequency. And then they wonder why their reality never changes, why they keep experiencing the same patterns, why life feels like struggle. They don't realize they're the ones generating the signal that creates those experiences. You now understand something that 97% of humanity doesn't. You understand that you're not a passive observer of reality. You're a conscious frequency generator. You understand that the quantum field isn't some distant, abstract concept. It's responding to your energetic signature right now. You understand that reality isn't fixed, it's fluid, constantly reorganizing based on the frequency of observation. And you understand that you can choose your frequency consciously instead of inheriting it unconsciously. This knowledge changes everything, but only if you apply it. Understanding the frequency law intellectually won't shift your reality. You have to become a different frequency. You have to broadcast a new signal. You have to observe reality from an elevated emotional state that matches what you want to collapse from the quantum field. This is the practice that separates the 3% from everyone else. They don't just know this information, they live it. They've made frequency awareness a moment-to-moment practice, and their realities reflect the precision of their broadcast. So here's what happens next. You have a choice. You can return to unconscious frequency generation, letting your environment, your past, your circumstances determine what signal you broadcast into the quantum field. Or you can join the 3% who've recognized themselves as conscious creators, who understand their collapsing reality through their frequency every single moment. The quantum field doesn't care which you choose. It will respond perfectly to whatever frequency you broadcast. But your experience of reality, everything you encounter, everyone you meet, every opportunity or obstacle, it's all determined by that choice. You're already broadcasting. You've been broadcasting your entire life. The question isn't whether you're generating a frequency, it's whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. The 3% chose consciousness. They decided to take deliberate control of their signal instead of letting it be controlled by default. And that choice, that simple but profound shift from unconscious to conscious frequency generation, it's what reorganized their entire reality. Welcome to the 3%. Because if you've understood this, if you've genuinely grasped that you're a quantum observer whose frequency collapses possibilities into physical reality, you can never go back to unconscious creation. Your awareness has shifted. Your identity has transformed. You're no longer someone reality happens to. You're someone who happens to reality through the power of conscious frequency. And the quantum field is already responding to this new understanding, already beginning to collapse probabilities that match who you've just become.